how long. I'm not keeping track. I don't feel the need to concern myself with that. Don't get me wrong, it's just a matter of fact. I haven't met many people that have your kind of impact. You know my mind, I let you in real close. Can't decide if that's good or bad, or a little of both. You with me, or are your thoughts elsewhere? If we're on the same page.
Wouldn't know these stories, I guess. So I walk it up and shit, what have I done? Here I am all by myself, got some stuff, and I come back.
You're making stuff as you go along.
Yeah, I hang it, close up in the closet. We had a nice bed there. I said, well, it'll be all right. Real dark room because I can't stand. Oh, meanwhile, I started getting what's called a cluster headache. I now know, like a spike going into the right side of my head. I mean, like it was a nail in there. So I get there and they check me out, and they got me in this room, laying on all by myself in a dark room, cool, kind of comfortable. I hear the emergency room doctor talking to my physician, whose name was Dr. Kelman. He says, we have Mr. Warner here. He's having, I remember exactly, he's having neurological complications.
Migraine with the complications.
What's that?
Migraine with neural complications.
Well, I found that out later.
Okay.
Neurological complications. Anyway, so the doctor, I hear him say, give him a brainwave test. And there's one part of that I can't remember anymore. Give him a brainwave test. And if he doesn't show any abnormalities, give him codeine plus. I think it was codeine plus. Doctor comes into my room, and I say, hey. He starts to tell me. I said, wait a minute. I heard you talking to Dr. Kelman. He stops. He said, what? I said, I heard you talking to Kelman. Why didn't you come in here? He says, Mr. Warner, I was 2 rooms away talking to him on the telephone. I said, were you on a speaker? He said, no. I said, here's what he said. And I repeated what I just said. He said, that's exactly right. He says, wow. I've heard when one set of senses goes down, the other goes up, your hearing must be acute. So,
that is kind of amazing.
So I gives me a brainwave test. I guess they found out that whatever a cluster headache is, I can't explain that. Kept me overnight, sent me home. When I woke up in the hospital the next morning, my headache for the first time in 6 months was gone. But I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. I mean, I had no strength. I was weak. They sent me home. Meanwhile, just before all this happened, Dr. Kelman had arranged for me to go to the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota, for a week, which was like 5 days from there. And we agreed I should go anyway. So I went and had all these other tests. A lot of them are repeats of what I already had done. Came back of this portfolio crap. Gave it to him. He called me in 3 days later and said, you have what we call a serious migraine headache with neurological complications. What we believe was happening was the 6 months before this, you were having all what most people have after a migraine of this kind. But the only thing I can think of to help you is this: you'll have to agree to take this the rest of your life. You need to take Inderal, and it will straighten out your biorhythms, the rhythms of your body.
Very 80s.
And he says, now you need to understand, if you take this, you got to take it the rest of your life. At that point, I told him he could cut my head off and mount it on backwards, and I'd say, okay. So I
Just
don't
make
wanna-
the headaches go away.
No, I don't want this anymore. So I took Inderal for a good year or more. It worked just fine. Didn't have any more headaches. Life was normal. But being a person who doesn't like to take medicine, actually I don't like to do anything that's a habit for me. So I said, gee, I can get off this. So I opened it up. It was a capsule. It had 72 little white, little tiny pieces of sand in it.
72.
72. I mean, they're like little granules of sand. So I decided I would take 2 out each day, and I got down to 36, and I can't do the math how many days that took me. And it came back like a bench. It hit me, knocked me right down again, and obviously, I said, whoops. So I took them again. Took them for a couple of years after that, and then decided that I would take 1 out of the 72. I can't remember if it was every 3 days, every 4 days. It took me several months to get off it. And then I got off it. I've never taken one since. And when I told Dr. Kelman that later on, he went into panic, said I shouldn't have been able to do that. And supposedly my medical history was written up in the
Some
New
journal.
England, whatever journal.
Yeah. That's
my
ballsy.
story.
Ballsy of you to.
It goes back to what you said earlier. I have certain things that I don't want to
I'm
do.
not doing this.
No, that doesn't mean I'm right.
Well, yeah, I mean, what did Alan say just the other day that made me laugh? Talking about, just our general health. And he and I and many of my friends are in their 50s or late 40s, and about cholesterol levels and all that. He's like, I will do exercise, and it was Matt Nelson. They both kind of echoed the same thing. I will exercise, I will eat better, I will do everything until it comes to not have to take a medication to manage